The crystal walls of Nexus Prime glowed with soft blue light as hundreds of alien beings filled the massive council chamber. The monthly meeting of the Galactic Council was about to begin, and the air buzzed with conversations in dozens of different languages. Some aliens looked like giant insects, others resembled walking trees, and a few appeared to be made of living metal. Ambassador Thextar adjusted his forearms and checked his datapad. As the representative of the Voidian Empire, he had to present the quarterly report on primitive worlds. It was not his favorite job, but someone had to keep track of the backward planets scattered across the galaxy. The Council will now hear the report on primitive worlds under observation, announced the Council speaker, a tall being whose skin seemed to shift colors like an oil slick. Thextar stood and activated the large holographic display in the center of the chamber. Dozens of planets appeared, spinning slowly in the artificial space above the council floor. Most were brown or gray, showing little signs of life. But one stood out, a beautiful blue and green world that seemed to glow with life. "This is Earth," Thextar said, pointing at the blue planet, located in what they call the Milky Way Galaxy Sector 7. The dominant species calls themselves humans. Council member Ralmoth clicked his sharp mandibles together. The insectoid alien from the Hive Collective always sounded annoyed when discussing primitive species. "How long have we been sending them signals?" 47 years, Thextar replied, checking his notes. "We began contact attempts when they achieved nuclear capability in their year 1945. Standard protocol for emerging civilizations." A murmur went through the council chamber. 47 years was a long time, even by galactic standards. Most primitive species responded to first contact within days, either with fear, excitement, or desperate attempts to communicate. "And their response?" asked Councillor Vexney, a plant-like being whose leaves rustled when she spoke. "Complete silence," Thextar said. The chamber fell quiet. No response to our beacon signals. No acknowledgement of our presence. No attempts at communication, nothing. This was unusual. Very unusual. In the 3,000 years since the Galactic Council had been formed, no species had ever simply ignored them. Fear was common. Worship was expected. Panic was normal. But silence? That had never happened before. On Earth, far from the crystal chambers of Nexus Prime, Director Juan sat in a windowless room deep beneath the mountains of South Korea. The walls were covered with screens showing data from around the world. Radio telescopes, satellite networks, and monitoring stations all fed information to this hidden facility. "Sir, we're receiving another transmission," reported Lieutenant Kim, a young woman whose job was to monitor alien communications. "Same frequency as always. Same mathematical sequences." Juan nodded but did not look up from his reports. "Standard response?" "Yes, sir." Complete silence. This had been Earth's policy for 47 years. When the first alien signals arrived in 1945, world leaders had faced an impossible choice. Some wanted to respond immediately, excited by the possibility of contact with advanced civilizations. Others wanted to hide, fearing invasion or destruction. But Dr. Tay from Seoul National University had proposed something different. A brilliant xenosociology expert, she had studied every piece of alien communication they received. Her conclusion was simple but revolutionary. "If we appear too eager, we become pets," she had told the secret international committee formed to handle the alien situation. "If we appear too primitive, we become experiments. If we stay quiet and develop, we become equals." The world leaders had been skeptical, but Dr. Tay's arguments were convincing. "Look at their signals," she had said, pointing to the decoded messages. "They're not trying to have a conversation. They're testing us. They want to see how we react. Our reaction will determine how they treat us." So Earth had chosen silence. Not the silence of fear, but the silence of strategy. President Nari of the United Earth Assembly reviewed the latest reports in her office in Geneva. The secret government formed to handle the alien situation had grown over the decades into a shadow organization that coordinated Earth's response to extraterrestrial contact. "Ma'am, the aliens are getting frustrated," reported General Keong, the head of Earth's Unified Space Command. "Our analysts believe they expected a response by now." "Good," Nari said calmly. "Frustrated aliens make mistakes. Mistakes we can learn from." And learn they had. Every alien transmission was carefully analyzed. Every signal was studied for hidden technology. Every mathematical sequence was decoded and improved upon. Earth's silence had not been empty. It had been productive. While the aliens assumed humans were too primitive to understand their signals, human scientists had been reverse engineering alien technology from their transmissions. The mathematical sequences contained information about energy manipulation. The carrier waves revealed propulsion techniques. Even the basic structure of their communications showed advanced computing methods. Engineer Bin worked in a facility beneath the Korean DMZ, leading a team of the world's best scientists. They had been tasked with understanding alien technology without the aliens knowing they understood it. "We've made another breakthrough," Bin reported during the weekly briefing. Their latest transmission contained gravitational manipulation equations. "We think we can build a working prototype within 2 years." The irony was not lost on Earth's leaders. The aliens were teaching humanity their technology while trying to get their attention. Every signal sent to provoke a response was actually making humanity more advanced. Back on Nexus Prime, the Galactic Council was becoming increasingly frustrated with Earth's silence. They had protocols for dealing with primitive species, but those protocols assumed the primitives would actually respond. "Perhaps they are simply too backward to understand our signals," suggested Ralmoth. "Some species take longer to develop." "Or perhaps they are afraid," added another council member. "Fear can cause unusual behavior in primitive minds." Thextar was not convinced. "Their technology is advancing rapidly. Our observers report significant improvements in their computing, their energy systems, and their material science. This does not seem like the behavior of a fearful or backward species." "Then why don't they respond?" demanded Ralmoth, his mandibles clicking with irritation. It was a good question, and one that the Galactic Council could not answer. They had never encountered a species like humanity before. Every other primitive civilization had followed predictable patterns. First contact led to shock, then either submission or defiance. Humans seemed to be following a completely different script. "Recommendation?" asked the council speaker. Thextar hesitated. The standard protocols were not working. Perhaps it was time to try something different. "Increase signal strength. Add visual components. Make our presence impossible to ignore." The council agreed. If Earth wanted to play hard to get, the Galactic Council would have to get creative. They had thousands of years of experience dealing with primitive species. Surely one small blue planet could not outsmart the entire galactic community. As the council session ended and the aliens dispersed to their ships, none of them realized they had just made a critical error. They had assumed that silence meant ignorance. They had mistaken patience for primitiveness, and they had no idea that their every signal was being studied, analyzed, and improved upon by a species that had just spent 47 years learning everything the galaxy had to teach. The game was about to change. But the Galactic Council did not know they were no longer the only players. 6 months after the Galactic Council decided to increase their efforts, strange things began happening on Earth. Farmers in Kansas woke up to find perfect circles carved into their wheat fields, but these were not random patterns. The circles formed complex mathematical equations that would have impressed university professors. Dr. Park, a mathematician at Seoul National University, studied photographs of the latest crop formation. "These equations describe faster-than-light travel," she told her research team. "Whoever made these understands physics better than we do." But Earth's leaders were not impressed. In the hidden command center beneath the Korean mountains, Director Hwan watched satellite footage of alien ships creating the crop circles. The ships were invisible to normal radar, but Earth's modified detection systems could track them easily. "They're trying to get our attention," Lieutenant Kim reported. "The mathematical complexity is increasing with each formation." "Let them try," Hwan replied. "Every demonstration teaches us more about their technology." The aliens did not stop with crop circles. Within weeks, massive holographic displays began appearing over major cities. The holograms showed the symbol of the Galactic Council, a circle of stars surrounding a stylized galaxy. The displays lasted for exactly 1 hour before disappearing, always appearing at noon local time for maximum visibility. Millions of people saw the displays. News networks around the world struggled to explain them. Governments issued statements about atmospheric phenomena and unusual weather patterns, but everyone knew the truth. The aliens were no longer hiding. President Nari held an emergency session with Earth's secret leadership. Representatives from every major nation gathered in the underground facility in Switzerland, their faces grim as they watched footage of the latest alien demonstrations. "The public is starting to panic," reported the Canadian representative. "People want answers, and they want us to respond," added the Brazilian delegate. "The pressure is enormous." General Kyung stood before the assembled leaders, his uniform crisp despite the stress of the situation. "The aliens are escalating. Our analysts believe this is deliberate psychological pressure. They want to force us to break our silence." "How far will they go?" asked President Nari. "Unknown," Kyung replied. "But based on their behavior patterns, they will continue escalating until they get a response." He was right. The next escalation came when alien ships began disabling Earth's satellites, not destroying them, but simply turning them off for exactly 1 hour before restoring them to normal function. Communication networks went dark. GPS systems failed. Weather monitoring stopped. Then precisely 60 minutes later, everything returned to normal. The message was clear. We can do this anytime we want. Engineer Bin watched the satellite disruptions from his laboratory. His team had been working around the clock to understand alien technology, and each new demonstration gave them more data to analyze. "Sir, we've figured out how they're disabling the satellites," reported Dr. Lim, one of his senior researchers. "They're using focused electromagnetic pulses, but not the kind that would damage the systems. This is incredibly precise. Can we replicate it?" Bin asked. "Give us 3 months," Dr. Lim replied confidently. But the aliens were not finished. Their next demonstration was even more dramatic. They created artificial aurora displays over major cities, turning the night sky into a canvas of dancing lights. But these were not random light shows. The auroras formed pictures, crude drawings that seemed designed to mock human civilization. The first image showed a primitive human figure next to an advanced alien figure. The human was depicted as small and hunched, while the alien stood tall and proud. The second image showed human cities next to floating alien cities, emphasizing the difference in technology. The third image showed human spacecraft, clumsy rockets, next to sleek alien starships. The message was insulting and clear. You are primitive. We are advanced. These displays appeared over New York, London, Tokyo, and Seoul simultaneously. Millions of people stood in the streets, staring up at the lights that mocked their entire species. Social media exploded with angry comments. Protesters gathered outside government buildings demanding action. But still, Earth remained silent. The silence was not without cost. President Min, who had recently taken over the rotating presidency of United Earth, faced enormous pressure from world leaders and citizens alike. She sat in her office late at night reading reports from around the globe. Riots had broken out in several cities. Religious groups proclaimed the aliens to be either angels or demons. Conspiracy theorists insisted the government was secretly working with the aliens. Scientists publicly demanded permission to respond to the alien signals. "Ma'am," her aide entered the office with another stack of reports. "The UN General Assembly is demanding an explanation. They want to know why we're not responding." "What do our advisors say?" Min asked. "Dr. Tay's daughter has taken over her mother's research," the aide replied. "Dr. Saul now leads the xenopsychology department. Her analysis suggests the aliens are testing our resolve. They want to see if they can pressure us into submission." President Min nodded. The original Dr. Tay had passed away 5 years earlier, but her daughter had continued her work. Dr. Saul was just as brilliant as her mother, and her understanding of alien psychology was crucial to Earth's strategy. "The moment we respond," Dr. Saul had warned, "we lose the advantage. They will know they can manipulate us through pressure. They will know we can be controlled." But the aliens were not finished with their demonstrations. Their next escalation was personal and cruel. They began intercepting Earth's television and radio broadcasts, adding their own commentary. News programs would suddenly be interrupted by alien voices speaking perfect English, Chinese, Spanish, and dozens of other human languages. "Look at these primitive creatures," an alien voice would say over footage of human cities. "Still bound to their planet's surface. Still fighting among themselves. How amusing." Sports broadcasts were interrupted with comparisons between human athletic achievements and alien capabilities. "Your fastest runner completes this distance in 10 seconds. the alien voices would mock. Our slowest youth does it in 3. Educational programs became target for alien ridicule. Your children learn mathematics we mastered 50,000 years ago, they would comment during school broadcasts. Perhaps we should adopt some of them as pets. The psychological warfare was effective. Earth's population was becoming angry, frustrated, and humiliated. The pressure on world leaders to respond was reaching a breaking point. Captain Dam of the Earth Defense Fleet received new orders during this period. The fleet was Earth's secret space force, built using technology reverse-engineered from alien transmissions. For decades, they had been preparing in secret, building ships that could match alien capabilities. "Sir, the fleet is ready," Dam reported to Admiral Yoon during a secure video conference. "We have 47 ships operational with more coming online each month." "Not yet," Admiral Yoon replied. "We stick to the plan. Let them think they're winning." But even Admiral Yoon was feeling the pressure. The alien broadcasts were becoming more frequent and more insulting. They had begun calling humans the silent simians and staging mock trials where holographic human representatives were convicted of being too cowardly to join galactic civilization. The breaking point was approaching and everyone could feel it. The aliens had spent months trying to humiliate humanity into responding. They had demonstrated their technology, mocked human achievements, and treated Earth's population like an entertainment show for their own amusement. They had made one critical mistake, though. They assumed that silence meant weakness. They thought that patience was the same as fear. And they had no idea that every insult, every demonstration, and every mocking broadcast was being carefully recorded and analyzed by a species that had spent 47 years learning to turn their enemies' strength against them. The aliens wanted a response, and they were about to get one. But it would not be the response they expected. The aliens had grown bolder with each passing month. What started as simple demonstrations had evolved into elaborate entertainment shows staged above Earth's major cities. Massive alien ships now appeared regularly in Earth's skies, no longer bothering to hide their presence. Dr. Saul worked late into the night at her research facility, analyzing the latest alien broadcasts. As Earth's chief xenopsychologist, she had inherited her mother's mission to understand alien behavior. What she saw in the data made her deeply concerned. "They're no longer trying to communicate," she reported to the emergency council session. "The pattern has shifted from contact attempts to dominance displays. This is pre-conquest behavior." President Min reviewed Dr. Saul's findings with growing alarm. The report detailed how alien behavior had changed over the past 6 months. The mathematical equations in crop circles had been replaced by crude insults. The holographic displays had evolved from simple symbols to complex mockery shows. "They're treating us like a zoo exhibit," General Kyung observed, watching footage of the latest alien demonstration. Above Beijing, alien ships had projected massive holograms showing human historical conflicts, wars, famines, disasters, while alien audiences in floating observation decks pointed and laughed. The psychological impact on Earth's population was severe. Suicide rates had increased. Mental health facilities were overwhelmed. Children were having nightmares about alien abduction. The constant humiliation was breaking the human spirit. But the aliens were not satisfied with general mockery. They decided to target Earth's most vulnerable population, the children. It started on a Tuesday morning in Seoul. Alien ships appeared over elementary schools, hovering just above the playgrounds. They projected holograms that showed human children playing next to alien young. The comparison was deliberately humiliating. The alien children in the holograms moved faster, solved complex puzzles effortlessly, and demonstrated abilities that seemed magical compared to human capabilities. Meanwhile, human children were depicted as slow, confused, and helpless. "Look at these adorable little primitives," alien voices commented in perfect Korean as children walked to school. "They're trying so hard to learn, but their tiny brains can only handle the simplest concepts." The shows grew more elaborate. Alien ships began staging fake adoption scenarios, where caring alien families would rescue human children from their primitive parents. The holograms showed human parents as ignorant and backwards, unable to provide proper education or care for their offspring. "These poor creatures need our guidance," the alien narrators would say. "Left to themselves, they will never reach their potential. Perhaps we should intervene for their own good." Parents around the world were outraged. Children came home from school crying, asking if they were really stupid compared to alien children. Teachers struggled to maintain order, as alien ships interrupted classes with their educational displays. Director Juan received reports from monitoring stations around the globe. The alien ships were not just appearing randomly, they were targeting schools with deliberate precision. The psychological warfare had reached a new level of cruelty. "Sir, this is systematic," Lieutenant Kim reported. "They're studying our education systems, our child development patterns, our family structures. This isn't random mockery anymore." Engineer Bin had been tracking alien communications during these school visits. His team had discovered something disturbing in the alien data streams. "They're not just entertaining themselves," Bin reported to the Emergency Council. "They're collecting detailed information about human children. Biological data, psychological profiles, learning capabilities. This looks like preparation for something bigger." The something bigger became clear during a special galactic broadcast that interrupted every television and radio signal on Earth. The transmission showed the Galactic Council in session, with Earth displayed prominently on their main screen. Ambassador Thextar stood before the Council, gesturing toward Earth with theatrical flair. "Fellow Council members, I present to you the Silent Planet. For 47 years, these creatures have ignored our generous offers of contact. They have shown no interest in joining galactic civilization." The camera panned across the Council chamber, showing alien beings of every description nodding in agreement. Some looked amused, others appeared bored, but all seemed to regard Earth as nothing more than a curiosity. "Perhaps," Thextar continued, "it is time we help them understand their place in the universe." The holographic display above the Council showed a computer simulation of Earth's improvement. The blue planet transformed before the eyes of billions of watching humans. Cities were replaced with alien structures. Forests were cleared for mining operations. Oceans were drained for their mineral content. "Earth has significant natural resources," Thextar explained to the Council. "With proper management, this world could contribute meaningfully to galactic civilization." The simulation showed human populations being relocated to appropriate reservations while alien colonists took over the productive areas of the planet. Humans were depicted as a protected species like animals in a nature preserve, carefully managed by their alien caretakers. "Of course, we would treat the native population humanely," Thextar assured the Council. "They would be provided with suitable habitats and proper care. Think of it as adopting a planetary pet." Council member Ralmoth clicked his mandibles approvingly. "An excellent proposal. These silent simians clearly cannot manage their world effectively. Intervention would benefit everyone." The broadcast showed detailed plans for Earth's transformation. Human technology would be replaced with alien systems. Human governments would be dissolved and replaced with alien administration. Human culture would be preserved in museums and historical displays. "Cute how they think they matter," Thextar commented to his fellow Council members as the simulation ended. "Perhaps it's time we taught these silent simians their place." The broadcast ended with a countdown timer. Earth had 7 days to respond to the Galactic Council's generous offer of civilization. If no response was received, the improvement project would begin automatically. On Earth, the reaction was immediate and explosive. Protests erupted in every major city. Government buildings were surrounded by angry crowds demanding action. Military leaders called for immediate retaliation. Religious groups proclaimed the end times had arrived. President Min called an emergency session of Earth's secret leadership. Every major world leader gathered in the underground facility in Switzerland, their faces reflecting the fury and fear of their populations. "The public is demanding we respond," reported the Japanese representative. "They want us to fight, to negotiate, to do anything except remain silent." 7 days, added the German delegate. "If we don't respond, they begin their invasion." General Kyung stood before the assembled leaders, his expression grim but determined. "Ma'am, our military forces are ready. The Earth Defense Fleet has been preparing for this moment for decades. We can respond." Admiral Yoon appeared on the main screen via secure video link. Behind her, the Bridge of Humanity's flagship was visible, filled with officers working at advanced control stations. "President Min," Admiral Yoon said formally, "the fleet requests permission to end the silent protocol. We've learned everything we can from their transmissions. It's time to show them what we've accomplished." Captain Dam, visible in the background of the video feed, stepped forward. "Ma'am, Our ships are positioned throughout the solar system. We've been tracking every alien vessel for months. They have no idea we exist. President Min looked around the room at the faces of Earth's leaders. 47 years of silence had led to this moment. 47 years of learning, building, and preparing. The aliens thought they were dealing with primitives who had spent decades cowering in fear. They were about to discover their mistake. Dr. Sol, President Min asked, "Your assessment?" The xenopsychologist stood slowly, her expression reflecting both anger and satisfaction. They've crossed every line. They've threatened our children, mocked our civilization, and declared their intention to enslave our species. From a psychological perspective, continued silence would be interpreted as total submission. And from a strategic perspective, President Min asked General Kyung, "We've achieved everything the silent protocol was designed to accomplish." Kyung replied, "We understand their technology. We've matched their capabilities. We've unified our species, and we've learned their weaknesses." President Min nodded slowly. The decision had been building for months, but the alien broadcast had made it inevitable. Earth's silence had served its purpose, but that silence was about to end in a way the Galactic Council could never have expected. "The silent protocol is hereby terminated," President Min announced. "Admiral Yoon, you have permission to respond." The war that was about to begin would not be fought with primitive weapons against advanced technology. It would be a conflict between an arrogant galactic empire and a species that had spent 47 years learning everything their enemies had to teach them. Admiral Yoon stood on the bridge of the EDS Harmony, humanity's flagship, watching the countdown timer that had appeared on every screen across Earth. 3 days remained before the Galactic Council's ultimatum expired. 3 days before they expected to begin their improvement of Earth, they would be disappointed. "All stations report ready," Captain Dam announced from his position at the tactical station. Around the bridge, officers worked at control panels that would have seemed like magic to humans just 50 years ago. The technology was based on alien principles, but improved by human engineering in ways the Galactic Council could never imagine. "Signal from command," reported Communications Officer Lee. "President, Min is addressing the Global Defense Assembly now, in the hidden chamber beneath the Swiss mountains." President Min faced the assembled leaders of Earth's secret government. These men and women had maintained the silent protocol for 47 years, enduring ridicule and pressure while their species prepared for this moment. "My fellow leaders," President Min began, "today we end our silence. But we do not end it in desperation or fear. We end it from a position of strength that the aliens cannot comprehend." She activated the main display, showing real-time positions of ships throughout the solar system. Hundreds of contacts appeared on the screen, far more than the Galactic Council knew existed. For 47 years, they have called us primitive. They have mocked our technology, ridiculed our capabilities, and threatened our children. They made one critical error. They assumed that silence meant ignorance. Engineer Bin watched from his facility beneath the Korean DMZ. His teams had worked around the clock for decades, reverse engineering alien technology from their own transmissions. Every signal the aliens sent to taunt humanity had actually been a lesson in advanced physics and engineering. "Sir, all defense grids are online," reported Dr. Lim. "The orbital platforms are ready, and our ground-based systems are operational." What the aliens did not know was that Earth had not been idle during their decades of silence. While the Galactic Council assumed humans were cowering in fear, Earth's engineers had been building a defense network that spanned the entire solar system. Hidden bases on the moon manufactured ships using alien-inspired technology. Asteroid mining operations had provided raw materials for construction. Even Mars hosted secret facilities where human scientists perfected weapon systems based on alien physics. Dr. Sol completed her final analysis of alien behavioral patterns. As Earth's chief xenopsychologist, she had studied every alien transmission, every demonstration, every mocking broadcast. Her conclusions would guide humanity's response. "They expect either submission or primitive resistance," she reported to Admiral Yoon via secure link. "Their psychology assumes superiority based on technology. They have never encountered a species that learned from their demonstrations rather than being intimidated by them." The first shock to the Galactic Council came when their monitoring systems detected massive energy signatures throughout Earth's solar system. Ships began decloaking in positions that should have been impossible to reach undetected. On Nexus Prime, Ambassador Thextar stared at the displays in disbelief. "How many ships are there?" he demanded. "Initial count suggests over 300 vessels," reported the Council's military advisor. "But that's impossible. Our observations showed they barely achieved chemical rocket technology. What the aliens saw defied their understanding. The human ships were not the clumsy chemical rockets they had observed for decades. These were sleek vessels that moved with impossible grace, their hulls seeming to bend light around them. The second shock came when the aliens tried to scan the human ships. Their most advanced sensors returned impossible readings. The ships appeared to be made of materials that could not exist, powered by energy sources that violated known physics, and equipped with weapon systems that seemed to manipulate space itself. Captain Dam reviewed the tactical display from his position on the Harmony. "All ships report ready, Admiral. We have eyes on every alien vessel in the system." The alien fleet that had gathered to begin Earth's improvement suddenly found themselves surrounded. Ships they never detected had been watching them for months. Technology they thought was primitive had evolved into systems they could not understand. But the greatest shock came when the humans finally broke their silence. The transmission went out on every frequency the aliens used, broadcast simultaneously in every language the Galactic Council spoke. The message was simple, but its implications were staggering. "This is Admiral Yoon of the Earth Defense Fleet addressing the Galactic Council. You wanted a response. Here it is." Admiral Yoon's image appeared on screens throughout the alien fleet and in the council chambers on Nexus Prime. She stood calmly on the bridge of her ship, surrounded by technology that should not have existed. "For 47 years you have called us primitive. You have mocked our silence. You have treated us as entertainment." Her voice carried the quiet authority of someone who had never needed to raise their voice to be heard. "You made a fundamental error. You assumed silence meant weakness." The alien ships tried to respond but found their communications being jammed by their own technology. The humans had not only learned alien science but had improved upon it, creating systems that could turn alien technology against itself. "Every signal you sent to taunt us was actually a lesson," Admiral Yoon continued. "Every demonstration of your superiority taught us something new. Every mocking broadcast contained information we needed to match your capabilities." Engineer Bin smiled as he watched alien ships struggle with their own systems. Human cyber warfare specialists had infiltrated alien networks months ago, using techniques derived from alien computer science but refined by human creativity. "You spent 47 years teaching us," Admiral Yoon said. "Thank you for the education." The demonstration began not with violence but with precision. Human ships moved through the alien fleet like dancers, their movements impossible to track or predict. Alien weapons systems found themselves unable to lock onto targets that seemed to exist in multiple places at once. When alien ships tried to fire, their weapons simply shut down. When they attempted to retreat, their engines failed to respond. When they called for reinforcements, their messages were redirected back to themselves. Dr. Zhang, Earth's chief scientist, transmitted detailed specifications for every piece of alien technology the Council had demonstrated over the decades, but the human versions were improved in ways that defied alien understanding. Where alien ships used brute force energy shields, human vessels employed adaptive armor that learned from each attack and became stronger. Where aliens relied on raw power for propulsion, humans used elegant gravitational manipulation that required a fraction of the energy. Most shocking of all, the humans had developed 3 entirely new technologies that the aliens had never seen before. Temporal displacement fields that made targeting impossible, quantum entanglement communication that could not be intercepted, and matter-energy conversion systems that seemed to violate the laws of physics. On Nexus Prime, the Galactic Council watched their most advanced fleet become helpless in minutes. The humans had not destroyed a single alien ship, but they had completely neutralized their capabilities. "How is this possible?" Ralmoth demanded, his mandibles clicking in distress. "We observed their technology for decades. They had nothing that could threaten us." Ambassador Thextar stared at the tactical displays showing his immobilized fleet. "They were learning from us. Every signal we sent, every demonstration we made, every piece of technology we showed them, they were studying it all." The realization hit the Galactic Council like a physical blow. The primitive species they had been mocking had used their own arrogance as a weapon against them. Every taunt had been a lesson. Every demonstration had been a gift of knowledge. "Sir," the Council's military advisor reported with obvious fear in his voice, "our fleet is completely neutralized. The humans have total control of their solar system." But Admiral Yoon was not finished. Her next transmission went beyond the alien fleet to the entire Galactic Council. "You have 7 days to respond to our terms," she announced, echoing the aliens' own ultimatum. "Earth is willing to join galactic civilization, but not as subjects or pets. We offer partnership between equals, based on mutual respect and shared knowledge." The countdown timer that had appeared on Earth's screens now appeared on every alien display throughout the galaxy. But this time it was counting down to humanity's terms, not alien demands. "If you refuse," Admiral Yoon concluded, "we will consider the Galactic Council a hostile force and respond accordingly. Unlike you, we do not make empty threats." The transmission ended, leaving the aliens to contemplate a new reality. The species they had called silent simians had become their equals in a single moment. The planet they planned to improve had become a power they could not challenge. The hunters had become the hunted, and the galaxy would never be the same. The Galactic Council chambers had never been so quiet. For 3,000 years, the crystal halls of Nexus Prime had echoed with the confident voices of species secure in their superiority. Now the assembled aliens sat in stunned silence, staring at displays that showed their most advanced fleet helplessly floating in Earth's solar system. Ambassador Thextar stood before the council, his forearms trembling as he tried to process what had happened. "The humans, they neutralized our entire fleet without firing a single shot. Our weapons don't work. Our shields are down. Even our life support systems are under their control." Council member Ralmoth clicked his mandibles nervously. The insectoid warrior had commanded fleets that conquered dozens of worlds, but he had never seen anything like this. "How did they hide this capability from us?" "They didn't hide it," replied Councillor Vexeny, her leaf-like skin rustling with distress. "They built it from our own transmissions. Every signal we sent to mock them contained the blueprints for their victory. The implications were staggering. For 47 years, the Galactic Council had been teaching humanity everything they needed to know to defeat them. Every demonstration of alien technology had been a lesson. Every mocking broadcast had been a gift of advanced knowledge. On Earth, President Min addressed the world for the first time since the crisis began. Standing before cameras in the United Nations building, she spoke to a planet that had spent 47 years wondering why their governments remained silent in the face of alien contact. "My fellow humans," she began, "today, you learn why we stayed quiet. It was not from fear but from wisdom. It was not from weakness but from strength. We used their arrogance as our greatest weapon." Behind her, screens showed real-time footage of alien ships floating helplessly in space, their crews unable to control their own vessels. It was a sight that would have seemed impossible just days ago. "For 47 years we have been students," President Min continued. "Today we graduate." Admiral Yoon received reports from across the solar system as human ships maintained their positions around the neutralized alien fleet. The operation had been flawless, executed with precision that spoke to decades of careful planning. "Ma'am, the aliens are requesting permission to speak," reported Captain Dam. "They want to negotiate." "Let them wait," Admiral Yoon replied. "They made us wait 47 years. They can wait 47 minutes. The delay was strategic. Dr. Sol had explained that alien psychology required a period of adjustment when their worldview was shattered. The species that had spent millennia believing in their own superiority needed time to accept their new reality. When Admiral Yoon finally opened communications, Ambassador Thextar's image appeared on the main screen. The confident alien leader from the earlier broadcasts was gone, replaced by a being who looked genuinely frightened. "Admiral Yoon," Thextar said carefully, "the Galactic Council wishes to discuss your terms." "Our terms are simple," Admiral Yoon replied. "Earth joins galactic civilization as an equal partner. No conditions, no supervision, no gradual integration. Full membership with all rights and responsibilities. But your species is..." Thextar paused, struggling with words that had lost their meaning. "You achieved this level of technology in just 47 years. That's impossible." Engineer Bin watched from his command center as human technical teams shared their technological innovations with amazed alien scientists. The humans had not only matched alien capabilities but had exceeded them in key areas. Sir, their reaction to our quantum entanglement. Communication is particularly interesting, reported Dr. Lim. They've been trying to develop that technology for over 1,000 years. And our temporal displacement fields? Ben asked. They didn't even know it was theoretically possible, Dr. Lim replied with satisfaction. The truth was becoming clear to the aliens. Humanity had not just learned from their transmissions. They had improved upon alien science in ways that demonstrated genuine superiority in several fields. The students had surpassed their teachers. Dr. Yang addressed the Galactic Science Council via holographic link, explaining human innovations with the patience of a professor teaching eager students. The roles had completely reversed from the aliens' expectations. Your energy projection systems are impressive, Dr. Zhang told the assembled alien scientists, but they're terribly inefficient. By modifying the harmonic frequency and adding quantum uncertainty principles, we improved energy output by 300% while reducing power consumption by half. The alien scientists listened with growing amazement. These primitive humans were casually describing improvements to technology the aliens had spent millennia perfecting. On Nexus Prime, the Galactic Council faced a reality they had never imagined. The species they had planned to enslave was offering them partnership. The primitives they had mocked were proposing to share advanced technology freely. They're not demanding tribute, observed Counselor Vexney. They're not seeking territory or resources. They just want to be treated as equals. After what we did to them, Ralmoth added with growing shame, they could demand anything. They could conquer us easily. Instead, they offer cooperation. President Min's next broadcast went out to both Earth and the entire galaxy. Standing in the same United Nations chamber where decades of secret meetings had planned for this moment, she addressed the universe as an equal for the first time. Earth offers the galaxy a new model of civilization, she announced, not based on dominance and submission, but on mutual respect and shared knowledge. We learned from your signals not just your technology, but your mistakes. The broadcast showed human ships throughout the solar system, but they were not in threatening positions. They formed a defensive perimeter that protected both Earth and the alien vessels within it. We could have responded to your aggression with aggression, President Min continued. We could have used our technological advantages to conquer your worlds as you planned to conquer ours. Instead, we offer partnership. Admiral Yoon stood beside President Min as Earth's terms were formally presented to the galaxy. The Reformed Galactic Alliance, she announced, where membership is earned through contribution, not conquest, where respect is given to all species regardless of their technological level, where diversity of thought and approach is valued over conformity. The proposal was revolutionary. Instead of the traditional galactic empire based on technological hierarchy, humanity proposed a true alliance of equals. Species would contribute their unique strengths, rather than submitting to superior technology engineer. Bin's teams had prepared detailed technical packages that would be shared freely with any species that joined the Reformed Alliance. Human innovations in quantum physics, temporal mechanics, and energy manipulation would benefit the entire galaxy. We learned from your broadcasts that the galaxy has stagnated, Dr. Zhang explained to the alien scientists. Your technology has barely advanced in the last 1,000 years because you stopped learning from each other. You became content with dominance rather than innovation. The alien response came not from the Galactic Council, but from individual species throughout the galaxy. Scientists, engineers, and philosophers who had grown frustrated with the old order embraced humanity's proposal enthusiastically within days. Dozens of species had requested membership in the Reformed Galactic Alliance. They brought their own innovations and perspectives, creating a flowering of scientific advancement that the galaxy had not seen in millennia. The formal signing ceremony took place on Nexus Prime, but the crystal chambers had been reconfigured. Instead of the traditional hierarchy with the most advanced species at the top, all members sat as equals around a circular table. President Min signed for Earth, her signature marking humanity's emergence as a galactic power. But she was not signing as a subject or a junior member. She signed as a founding member of a new kind of civilization. Admiral Yoon commanded a fleet that now included ships from dozens of species. all working together to explore new frontiers and defend their shared values. The vessels that had once threatened Earth now served alongside human ships in a true partnership. Ambassador Thextar, now representing the reformed Voidian Republic, shook hands with President Min after the ceremony. "We owe you an apology," he said quietly, "and our gratitude. You saved us from ourselves." The greatest irony was not lost on anyone present. The species the aliens had called silent simians had given the galaxy the greatest gift possible: a new way of thinking about civilization itself. Dr. Sol published her final report on the crisis, titled The Power of Strategic Silence. It became required reading throughout the Reformed Alliance, a reminder that wisdom sometimes comes from knowing when not to speak. Earth stayed quiet, she wrote in the conclusion, not because we had nothing to say, but because we knew the right words were worth waiting, for the galaxy had been changed forever by a species that understood something. The ancient civilizations had forgotten that true. Strength comes not from the ability to dominate others, but from the wisdom to turn even mockery into an opportunity for growth. Humanity had taught the galaxy that sometimes the best response to arrogance is patience, and that the greatest victory comes not from defeating your enemies, but from turning them into friends. The silence was over, but the conversation had just begun.